What's up YouTube, Silver Dragons here, and in this video I'm talking about copper. Is it a good idea for you to be stacking copper? Should you be looking at it as an investment? We're going to talk about all that and more, so let's do it. Thank you so much for watching my video. I do sincerely appreciate it. If you want to learn more about investing in precious metals, or if you just want to watch awesome videos about gold, silver, and I guess sometimes copper, then make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Alright, so stacking copper. Wow, I have done a few videos about this in the past, but I rarely ever talk about copper, and I get asked all the time, hey Silver Dragons, what do you think about copper? Is this something I should be buying? So I figured, you know what? It's time to do an updated video and really give you my thoughts on the subject, but also point out some things that you might not know about copper so you can decide for yourself if this is what you want to be getting into or not. Now, I did recently do a poll asking the community what you all thought about copper, and here is the result. Now, the poll simply asks the question, is it good to stack copper? 38% of you said yes, 62% of you said no. Now, what's actually really interesting was some of the comments on this poll. Ethan says, I would say stacking copper could be okay as long as you don't overdo it. It's obviously cheaper and won't sell as fast, but it's good to have some separate metals, but gold is probably better to have alongside. Now, I'm assuming Ethan is saying copper is cheaper than silver, and that absolutely is true. We will get to that. And then he says gold is better to have alongside, and I would agree. If you're mainly stacking silver, you should be stacking gold as well. Scott says, considering you're paying 4 to 6 times the value, it's completely pointless to stack. If you can take delivery of a few metric tons at spot, then sure, but have fun moving it. I don't mean selling it, I mean just moving it into your garage. Now, his first point is spot on. Usually when you're buying rounds or bars made out of copper, you're paying way more than the actual value of the metal. And his second point, yes, you're going to need a massive amount of copper to make a dent. It's just so cheap. Necra says, I stack pre-82 pennies, but I'll buy the occasional copper round as a collectible if I like the design on it. Now, I think this is totally reasonable, and I do the same thing myself. Pennies, or 1 cent denomination coins minted in 1981 and prior, are made out of 95% copper, except when you get to some of the really old pennies, but those are going to have such a high numismatic value, you're probably never going to find them in circulation. Some of the pennies that were minted in 1982 are copper as well. About half of them are copper, the other half are made out of primarily zinc. So if you want to tell the difference, you actually have to weigh them. But for the most part, you can just assume if the penny has a year of 1981 or before, it's probably made out of copper. Now, because of this and the rising copper prices, these pennies are worth more than 1 cent. If we go to coinflation.com, we can see that copper pennies are now worth a little over 2.5 cents. So yeah, if you can get these for 1 cent, it definitely makes sense to stack them. Generally speaking, whenever I find pennies that were minted before 1982, I take them out of circulation and throw them in a bag, because this is basically free money. So why would I not do that? Now, currently it is illegal to melt these pennies down, but a lot of people are assuming that will change in the future. Now, are you going to get rich pulling out copper pennies and sorting them? Probably not, and it actually does take a lot of labor if you want to get boxes of pennies from the bank, sort out the copper ones and the zinc ones. I mean, you can do it, it's just not worth it in my opinion. Now let's switch gears and talk about copper rounds and copper bars. I'm sure many of you have seen these for sale on some of the online bullion dealer websites and thought to yourself, should I be buying those? Maybe I'll just buy a couple as an add-on to get the free shipping on my order. These can't be that bad of a deal, right? Wrong. APMEX is the largest bullion dealer in America, and the cheapest copper rounds I could find on their website have a shockingly high premium. $3.39 for 1 ounce of copper. Now, if you don't know, the current spot price for copper is $4.14, but that is the price per pound. The price per ounce is only 26 cents, making this premium absolutely outrageous. Paying that high of a premium on 1 ounce of copper would be similar to spending $300 on 1 ounce of silver when the spot price is only at 23 bucks an ounce. I'm not an expert in math, but I know a high premium when I see one, and that is not ideal for stacking. I will admit there are some really fun copper rounds that have come out over the years, which are great for collecting, and even though you're paying way more than spot value, it still is cool to buy the whole collection and enjoy them as such. So if you're a collector and you just want to buy them for fun, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And while we're talking about copper rounds, how could I not show off my World of Dragons set? All the silver and all the copper. Oh yeah. And there was actually one other crazy toned one back here. Oh yeah, that piece is absolutely on fire. Dragon toned right there. Probably one of my favorite pieces of copper I own. And yeah, they're great for collecting, not great for stacking. I guess that's the moral of the story when it comes to copper. For the most part, if you're buying it from a bullion dealer, it should just be to collect and enjoy, never for stacking purposes. Now, what about copper wire or even copper pipes? Are these worth holding on to if you're able to acquire them at or below spot? I think that the answer is probably yes. However, you're going to need an insane amount. I mean, we're talking hundreds and hundreds of pounds to really even make a dent and have it be worth it. So if you have the space, then yeah, I guess it's not really a big problem. But for most people, if they already have a fairly decent size silver stack, they're trying to get denser with their stack, right? When you have a lot of weight, you don't really want to be adding more weight. So that's something you need to factor in if you want to get into copper. And you should also know it's not a precious metal. Copper is considered a base metal because it's so prevalent in the ground. I mean, copper is mined like crazy. There is value in it, but it's not that rare. So will it go up in price with inflation over time? Absolutely. Here is a look at the 1-year chart for copper, and as you can see, it is doing very well. Now, is it going to continue to go up from here? I'm not sure, but eventually, over time, as the dollar does get weaker, the price of copper will go up as a result. There is one more thing I want to mention about copper as I wrap up the video here, and that is because copper is a base metal, it is not weighed in troy ounces like gold and silver are. Copper is weighed in what we call avoirdupois ounces. Okay, it's a really weird word, but basically it means this particular ounce here is about 10% lighter than 1 ounce of silver. So just something to keep in mind. And if you want kind of a funny joke to tell your friends, you could say, hey, what's heavier, an ounce of copper or an ounce of silver? And the correct answer is actually an ounce of silver because it's a different ounce. It's a troy ounce. So just kind of a funny riddle there, I suppose. But anyway, what are your thoughts on stacking copper? Do you personally feel like it's a good idea to be buying this stuff? I mean, I think it's totally cool if you just want to buy it for the art or to enjoy. But if you want to stack it heavy, you're going to need a ridiculous amount of space. And in my opinion, the bottom line is it's just not worth it. So anyway, feel free to leave your comments down below in the comment section. And the last thing I want to say is a massive thank you so much for watching my video. And I will see you all in the next one. Silver Dragons out.